project.
Well, all the best. May the best man win. And let's shift focus to other matters. And of course, as I mentioned, eCitizen has played a big part in the conversations we've had in the past week, bearing in mind the current administration that's led by President William Ruto is quite keen on its push for a centralized payment system for all government services. And we've recently seen the onboarding of most, if not all, government services and agencies and parastatals on the eCitizen platform. But most recently, we saw a circular from the Ministry of Education directing national schools to pay fees through eCitizen, pay bill number 22222. Now, that particular move has been put on ice by the courts till February 13th. But let's just listen in to some of the sentiments that have been shared by President William Ruto in regard to that move. Equally, a member of the Council of Governors who is the representative of the Education Committee, Dr. Eric Mutai, who spoke on that. Listen in.
Some of the monies paid by parents, for example, in boarding schools, because we provide resources for learning in all our primary schools and secondary schools. What parents pay is boarding fees and maybe lunch. We are insisting because we realize that there are illegal levies charged by boards of management of schools that go into accounts that nobody knows.
Allowed the government initiative to have fees paid at the eCitizen. However, we just call for proper structures, proper information. Because right now schools, children have reported to school, learning is ongoing, and then when we are half the term or somewhere in the term, we wake up in the morning and tell people that you are supposed to do payment eCitizen. In as much as it's a good idea, but we ask the ministry to be a bit more organized so that they are not reactive and be able to provide information early enough so that our people will not be in doubt as to whether is there a fraud or is there something that is sinister behind it.
We've already been waiting here for 2 hours and really the system seems to be not working for us. That we already had problems with the eCitizen system, I think with the entry to the country, with the visa, and now here it's also again an issue with the payment, and as you can see, all the people here are waiting.
Kwamba kwanza inadileisha wageni. Unaweza kuchukua takriban kawaida unachukua dakika 2, 3 mpaka 5. Sasa hivi unaweza kuchukua mpaka jisaji zima kwa ajili sisi mpya ili mgeni kukata tikiti yake au sisi kukatia wageni na ikawa bado haijafanya kazi.
Tumelemewa na kufanya kazi kwa sababu mashini zilioko unaweza kumlipia Mkenya kupitia eCitizen kwa M-Pesa. Lakini ikifika mgeni wa nje, tatizo limesimamia hapo. Ina decline kwa sababu inahitaji dola.
All right, the last part is tourism stakeholders adding their voice to some of the inconveniences they've experienced in the process. Remember, most services were pushed to eCitizen, including paying for access to wildlife parks in the country. That's been a challenge, perhaps due to a couple of issues with the system delaying here or there. But let's talk generally about the move to move government services to eCitizen. According to those who are in support of this move, they mention the aspect of accountability. We'll be able to monitor the money that comes in, the money that goes out. That's been credited as the best in terms of digitizing government systems. Dismas Mukua, even as we talk about the positives, we're talking about charging Kenyans to access government services. There's an issue on convenience fee. 50 shillings is the elephant in the room. How do we go about this? What's your view on eCitizen?
I'll address it from 2 perspectives where I'm a subject matter expert. The first one is from accounting, and then the second is from a communication perspective.
Okay.
From an accounting perspective, this is perfect. The government scores are 100%. Because it's the dream of any accountant to engage in very solid cash flow management. When you have everything on eCitizen or electronic, then at the end of a certain duration of time, 1 hour or a day, you are actually able to have a a global view of how much money has come in and how much money is going out. So in my view, this is very solid. Like you recall previously, even for when you're paying your car parking fee, when you're giving cash, you are not sure whether this money will actually go to the treasury. And most of the services, even for many markets, city markets or municipal markets all over Kenya, when you pay cash, you're not sure whether this money will go to the treasury account. Because there's evidence that people would actually print receipts. So there's the official one, and then there's the one that these fellas would carry around. So from that perspective, 100% sense. And the president has indicated that a number of people who may be opposed to eCitizen are the ones who've been beneficiaries of our weak system. So they've had a cash stream or a revenue stream, which is now going to be blocked. Okay. Because you now have to pay through eCitizen, a centralized system. Now there is the matter people are saying that what is the cost of that maybe you're paying 50 shillings. Assuming that you live in Imaradaima and you're taking your son to, say, St. Mary's Yala, and you want to go and pay cash. What is the cost of moving from Imaradaima to Yala to go and pay cash? While you can do it on eCitizen. So the 50 shillings that people are complaining, in my view, while it could be material in some other aspects, but the convenience is very solid. As I see it, the only challenge has been managing change. Because in any society, when you're coming up with a new intervention, there's always three groups of people. There's one group which is happy to embrace change. There's another one which sits in the middle. They're not sure whether or not to accept change. And then there's another one which is unhappy to accept change. So the one which is unhappy, maybe there was a good reason to have a communication strategy to address their needs. Okay. I recall a long time ago when mobile telephone was being introduced to the Kenyan market, there were people who used to use pagers, and they really complained. They said, wait a minute, what is this thing called mobile phone? It's not very convenient. I've got a pager on my belt, and it's been working very well. Why are you telling me to get a mobile phone? Okay. Now everybody has got a mobile phone. Okay. Even when you talk about digital cabs, when we got these brands coming up, of course I'm not going to mention any, but even people said, wait a minute, that I can order a cab on my phone? No, I'm going to use the normal one. But when people embrace change, when they understand the benefits, then they'll embrace it. So in my view, all that eCitizen needed was to do stakeholder mapping and address their fears. Because right now what people are doing is they're actually expressing their fears in public. And in a few short days, when they appreciate the convenience of eCitizen, they'll compliment Kenya Kwanza and say this was a good idea.
Okay. Nyaribo, as you come in, there are those who hold